Alright, what is up guys? Welcome back to another Zoids review. So, if you guys saw the Wild Liger review that I did, you know that I'm finally getting around to buying and building some of the Zoids Wild kits. So, in that review, I showcase what it's like to actually unbox and build one of these kits. I did not do that for this time around. I am starting off with a box here so you guys get to see it, but I did actually build this off screen. I mainly just did it for that review so you guys would be able to see what the build process is like because it is so radically different from what we've had with previous Zoids lines. So now that I've kind of established that, I'm probably going to be cutting out that portion of the review unless there's something particularly interesting about the build process. I'm not planning on collecting all of the Zoids Wild kits. In fact, I'm not planning on collecting many of them, but I do have 2 more reviews on the way. I just got a big order in from Hobby League Japan with 4 Zoids Wild kits, 2 of which are for me and 2 of which are for Cheyenne. She got the Hunter Wolf and the Gatling Fox, and I got the Beast Liger and the Cannonball. So I'm very much looking forward to building all of those and reviewing them soon. Maybe she'll let me borrow the other 2 so we can get a video for those as well. But today we're looking at the Gil Raptor, which in terms of the box itself, let me get that out of the way first. Again, I absolutely love just how minimalistic the box is in terms of the labeling and the brand and the text that's on here. It's all very simple, so we just have a great demonstration of the artwork on here, and I just think it looks fantastic, and I'll say that high praise out of all the Zoids Wild boxes. But honestly, the old Takara Tomy Zoids from the anime era are all the same way as well. It's really the Hasbro ones and even some of the Kodo ones that have too much clutter on the box really showcase the artwork effectively. But yeah, really cool. I love that the artwork is the centerpiece here of what's going on. Kind of shows right there the exoskeleton and then the armor on top of it as we begin to finish it, which did not end up being as much of a problem as I think some people were expecting it to be going into this line because of what we had with the Genesis lines with the Biozoid. So here it is. So in the Gil Raptor, in terms of the Zoids Wild story, there's not really a whole lot to say about it. It's sort of the antagonistic cannon fodder Zoid that the main character is supposed to cut through dozens of these every episode. And so you see them often used quite a bit by the antagonist. And there's a variant of this, sort of a modified version that they adapt into Zoids Wild Zero, which is typical for a lot of the Zoids in Zoids Wild, that there's sort of an alternate form that they gave it in Zero. But I like that it's a raptor. It's very similar to how we had the Rev Raptor in the previous iteration of Zoids. And it's cool to have a raptor Zoid that's like nice and big like this, without being like a Tyrannosaur or a bigger dinosaur type Zoid. Dinosaurs are kind of a staple of Zoids, as you guys know. But I think if this were to scale with the Rev Raptor, then it would actually be a similar size, if not smaller, because if you look at how big the pilot is, this is a physically bigger model kit, but in terms of scale, it may not actually be bigger than the Rev Raptor, because I figured out what the scale is for the Zoid Wild kits, if I didn't say so in the previous video. It is, it actually does say on the box, way down here, 1/35th scale. So whereas all the other Zoids, with the exception of Revoltech ones and the Modeler Spirit Series ones, all of the prior Zoids are 1/72nd scale, whereas the Modeler Spirit Series Zoids are 1/144th scale. So these are scaled up slightly from the original Zoids, so that the pilots can be a little bit bigger, and so the kits themselves in terms of size are about the same. They scale well with the old Zoids, but in terms of the storyline, they are much smaller compared to humans as they were, which makes sense if we're basing this sort of as a prototype prehistoric era to what we have with the previous Zoid generations that we've had adapted into anime. There's also another variant of this, which is the Commander Gil Raptor, which is purple, and that was also adapted into a model kit that's pretty cool. So if you guys want to check that out. In terms of the kit itself, I really do like the look of this guy. He does look really nice. A couple of things that I'm not particularly keen on. The claws are really wimpy. There's not really a lot of detail to the claws there. No difference in color. No moving parts there at all. And he has the really cool eyes, like a lot of the... Whoops, I just chucked that piece right off of there. He has these really cool eyes, like all the Zoids Wild kits do. but you can't even see them because they're covered up by the headpiece there. I'm going to try to get that piece back. It just seems like such a shame to have elements of the skeleton not show through on the finished product there, especially when the eyes are this cool on the Zoids Wild kits, as I demonstrated with the Wild Liger. And especially because it's, it's a dinosaur fossil, skeleton kind of thing. Makes perfect sense, but I'm also not too keen on these weird fins that come off the side of the face there. I don't know why they went for that design angle there. Now if I can actually get this thing to clip back into place. Watch me just royally mess this up. Oh, there we go. That wasn't as bad as I thought. So another thing I'd like to mention as well is that I completely messed up on the build process of this, and by the time I realized what I had done wrong, it was either too late for me to fix it, or the effort it would have taken to fix it wasn't really worth it to me, because I'm not going to be using the motorized function on these guys. But it is motorized. There's a spot underneath here where you can open up that screw and put the batteries in down here. But specifically over here under the arm, there is a pin that goes into the legs to work the walking function. They all kind of connect together and pull on each other to create that walking motion. And I failed to line up this socket with that pin correctly. And so the pin that comes right out of the motor is not lined up with it. So this leg just kind of shifts back and forth and is not part of the actual system that this one is. And I totally messed that up. So guys, when you're building yours, don't do that. Don't be like me. Don't be a complete idiot. This one also doesn't seem to have the same head function as the Wild Liger does, but the range of when the head is not like permanently fastened down, the range of motion you get with the head and the jaw is actually pretty nice. So he has this rocket booster pack up here, which I think is pretty cool looking. It doesn't overly clutter the Zoid at all. I think it just adds a nice little cool element to it, especially when it is hunched down like that in this sort of predator hunting stance. The little backpack up there does make it look really cool, and it has some boosters on the back. Apparently when you work the motorized function, this is also supposed to come down like this, and the blades are supposed to come out, and that just straight up does not work for me. Like, again, I don't know if it was something I did improperly when I built it, which is just terribly insulting considering this is such an easy kit to build. But the blades, so there's a particular point back here, you can see, you can't really see it that well in the video, but there's a hook right there that connects to a pin underneath the rocket pack here, and that's where the blades connect. But there doesn't appear to be any like mechanism, and it says in the instruction manual it has to do with the tail rising up like that, but it just does not do anything for me, and of course I just knocked the tail completely off. And that's actually another big problem I have with this guy, is the way the tail is connected. The tail is not permanently fastened to anything down there, but apparently it's supposed to move up like that, and that's supposed to help operate the motor function, which the lever is right back here, and again I don't have the batteries in there. But there's nothing permanently attaching it, it's just you have these gray tubes that connect down here that provide some resistance, so that's as far up as you should be able to go with the tail. But that's it, and I guess the tail maybe is supposed to move the lever, like similar to how with the Wild Liger they had the little piece of armor over the button where you push on that instead of just the raw button itself. But I mean, who really cares? Either way, I just think that's a big design flaw. I don't really like the way that's done. I also don't really care for the fact that, just like the Wild Liger, his tail has absolutely no armor whatsoever. I mean, they could have gotten away with a little piece back here. There's already a hole right there and a peg right here. They could have gotten away with something. But the skeleton of this guy does look really cool even without the armor. And in terms of the function of the blades, I think that that's really cool, because not only would that be pretty effective in combat, but it's almost like a better version of what the Rev Raptor has, because the Rev Raptor has like these curved talon style blades up here, which of course is a reference to it being a raptor and raptor having talon nails that it uses to hunt with. The Rev Raptor has a very literal version of that are energy blades, similar to the Blade Lager. I'd like to do a Rev Raptor review one day. The Rev Raptor, the wind-up version from Hasbro, is actually the very first kit that my brother actually got back when we first started getting into Zoids way back in the day. But there was never an HMM Rev Raptor, if I understand correctly, which they probably should get on that if they're going to reissue all these. There's like a reprint coming up of the Mulgas. There's like a dual set with the regular Mulga and Cannon Remulga. I'm like, if you guys are willing to reissue the Mulga, at least give us a dang Gilraptor, but that's another story. So, overall, like I said, this guy's pretty cool in terms of design. I think it's one of the cooler looking Zoids Wild kits. I think it's a little bit more minimalistic and less like ridiculous looking than the Death Tyranno, but that thing is awesome in its own way, and it's one of the larger Zoids Wild kits. It's in a different price bracket than these guys. These guys should only set you back like 25 bucks if you can get them on a good price on HLJ or another, even Ami I think has them. So definitely be on the lookout for some good prices for the Zoids Wild kits out there. And apparently they are coming to the US. Hasbro did pick up the line, allegedly, so I've yet to see when those are coming out or if they're going to be the exact same kits or not. But that is the rumor on the street, ladies and gentlemen, so we will listen out for that. So quick size comparison. So I did say that in addition to the Zoids Wild kits being smaller in scale, they are also literally smaller than the other kits, but we'll start off with just a size comparison with the Wild Liger here. And the Wild Liger is a little bit bigger, as it should be. But here's where you guys are really going to be shocked. So I'm bringing over the Zoid that's going to be the next review, which is the Geno Breaker. And the Geno Breaker is utterly massive compared to these guys. So it's taller, wider, longer, like every dimension you can think of. And the Geno Breaker was already a big Zoid, so maybe this isn't the best comparison, but I figure it's a red dinosaur. Might as well go ahead and show them both side by side. But yeah, the Geno Breaker is just massive compared to this thing. I mean, look at in terms of height there. It's just towers over this thing. So this is going to be my next review, by the way. So if you guys have any other comments or questions about the Gil Raptor, make sure to let me know. And I will see you guys next time with the Geno Breaker.